Hello, this is Stephanie McPhail, the expert in helping brilliant women date up. I help women who have been in the cycle of toxic relationships get the tools they need to stop the cycle so that if they do decide to date again, they date up. I wanted to come on and talk to you my initial reaction to the findings of the autopsy report from the coroner's office in Wyoming on the Gabby Petito case. I was definitely, obviously we knew she passed away. We knew her life was over. But for some reason, it really hit me, bad pun, I guess, but I felt it through my body when I read that she had been strangled to death. Cause of death was strangulation. And of course, that really hits close to home. For those of you who maybe know my story, maybe you don't, but I was married to my first husband for five years. And he strangled me on our wedding night until I lost consciousness. And the only reason why I'm here today is because for some reason, something inside of him realized that he needed to stop what he was doing. And he backed off and walked away. I was losing my ability to fight back. I felt my limbs get heavy. And the reality is that I was very close to death. Now, in saying all of that, I can say that now and realize what was happening or what happened. But at the time, wanting to forgive him, wanting to move on, being embarrassed of the fact that I had just married a man who would strangle me on our wedding night, I didn't want to deal with it. I wanted to sweep it under the rug. I had not gotten beat up. He had just lost his temper. That had never happened before. And I stayed for 5 more years. I guess my intention for coming on right now with my just initial response from this is I used to think that I wasn't really physically abused because I had been strangled. I had been spit on. I'd been woken up in the middle of the night. I had been, he had put his body in the way so I couldn't get through the door to leave when things were uncomfortable or scary. That was all physical violence. That was all intimidation meant to control. It was violence. And it wasn't until that I actually spoke to a victim's advocate who said, hey, he could have killed you way more quickly with strangulation than he could have from physical, like beating you up. You didn't have any broken bones. You didn't do anything like that. And I think for a lot of us, we think, well, all I've dealt with is the emotional abuse. I hear a lot of clients come to me and say, all I've dealt with is emotional abuse. But at any point, that emotional abuse can turn into something physical. And when we're talking about like the example of Gabby Petito, who is actually from the town right next to where I used to live, who knows? Maybe he had never been physically violent before. Maybe all he had ever been was verbally abusive. There was a bystander who saw him slapping her. Maybe that was the first time. Maybe that was really the first time. We don't know. We might never know. But now this young lady who was hoping to do so much with her life is no longer with us. And her, like so many other victims of domestic violence, have lost their life because they were trying to protect the person who was abusing them. And so I implore you, if you are currently in a toxic relationship, start taking action to do whatever you need to do to get out. If you have ever been in a toxic relationship, start taking whatever action you need to never get back into another one. Because I don't want to read about someone here or any other person going through this again. I know it's a lot to ask. I know that's an impossible feat, but it's one of my missions is to help as many people as I possibly can stop the cycle of toxic relationships. We need the tools. We need change. We need the education, we need the information, but we need the mentorship. We need the support to know that we don't have to deal with these toxic relationships and someone losing their temper and being physical for the first time putting us down, making us feel badly about ourselves, not following our boundaries, not being respectful of our wants and needs, all of that can escalate. It can escalate. And I don't want to read any more of these stories. I don't want this to happen to any of you. I want you to be safe, and I want you to be living your best life. You deserve that amazing life that's out there for you. Someone who is putting you down, making you feel bad, trying to keep you from living your dreams, like Gabby's boyfriend, Brian, telling her that her hopes and dreams were too much and she was being silly. Someone that loves you is not going to squash your hopes and dreams. Someone that loves you is going to help you be inspired, motivate you, get excited for your wins. They are not going to try to pull you down and make you feel badly about the exciting things that you're working towards. So, just something to think about. I don't want you to be another statistic. I don't want this to happen to another beautiful soul. You deserve more. And I definitely would ask to please don't compare the abuse, whether it's physical abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse, whatever it is. Do not compare that abuse to somebody else's. Just because somebody else has experienced something different than you does not mean that what you're experiencing doesn't matter. Trauma affects everyone. Please get help. Please stop the cycle. We want you to be the best version of you. If you'd like the tools, if you'd like the help, please reach out. Please reach out. Comment the word help in the comments. Someone from my team will reach out. Let's see what we can do to help you. Let's see what we can do to get you on the right path and help you really stop the cycle so you never get into another one again. Let's end these stories here with all of you, and let's start working towards creating our best life, one that we never could have imagined was possible. Thanks, everybody. Never forget, you are way stronger than you realize.